What have you learned about Anthony Fauci's role in COVID-19?
And what we now know beyond a reasonable doubt is that Anthony Fauci did indeed fund gain-of-function research. We have the evidence that the experiments were gaining in function. The viruses were becoming more lethal, more attachable to human cells, and more infectious. We do know that this was going on, that was funded by the NIH, specifically under the tutelage of Anthony Fauci. Anthony Fauci was able to coerce, cajole, persuade, and dangle money to get people in the intelligence community to change their vote. So a scientific commission within the CIA voted 6-1 to say it came from the lab. He somehow was able to get that change. We have evidence of that happening. The virologists that he handpicked that were big recipients of federal dollars, all of them initially were saying it looks like it was manipulated. We now have evidence that in January of 2020, that he was already acknowledging that the virus did not come from the wet market.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul telling Maria on Sunday about new evidence showing that Dr. Anthony Fauci funded the gain-of-function research, which jump-started the COVID-19 pandemic. 2021, Dr. Fauci testified that the National Institutes of Health did not fund that research, despite the NIH providing a grant to EcoHealth Alliance to research coronaviruses in Wuhan. New files released by former DNI Tulsi Gabbard show officials shielded Fauci from a whistleblower complaint filed under the Biden administration, alleging he lied to Congress about the research. Instead, Fauci met with the intelligence community, including the CIA, to shape a public narrative that coronavirus originated in a Wuhan wet market instead of that lab leak theory. That's something Maria questioned throughout 2020 and beyond. Former President Joe Biden would later issue a preemptive pardon for Fauci just hours before he left office. I want to bring in Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, so let's talk about China's role in this virus and go back to 2020.
Good morning, Cheryl. We know from two published scientific papers from 2016 to 2017 by researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology clearly describing gain-of-function research, and they both publicly acknowledge funding from Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. It's clear. Fauci decided that he was going to evade President Obama's 2014 moratorium on the funding of gain-of-function by funneling money through EcoHealth Alliance, that New York-based NGO, to the Wuhan Institute. And so the evidence is there. Now, and the question is, we know that he committed perjury twice in 2021 in response to questions from Senator Rand Paul. This is just as clear as day. And how the United States is not holding China accountable for 1.2 million American deaths from COVID, to me, is just astounding. It is incomprehensible.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about some other issues of the day, because the Trump administration reportedly is expected to allow Anthropic to restore access to its Fable 5 AI model as early as this week. And that ends that 15-day suspension that had been imposed over national security concerns. Commerce Department is also allowing Anthropic, and this was Friday, to reopen access to its Mythos 5 cybersecurity model for a limited group of trusted users. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting, Gordon, that China has matched Anthropic in cybersecurity, resetting the AI race, saying that Chinese AI systems have matched Anthropic's Mythos model in some testing. It also claims a new model released this month by a Chinese developer can match the latest U.S. models in finding these security bugs. This all goes back to, of course, the alarm bells that went off over Mythos, and this is when the Treasury Secretary called up the banks and they had a big meeting, and there was that delay of Mythos. But the Journal is pointing out something that I think is dangerous, that the Chinese may be able to match it.
Yes, and the Journal is reporting that at least in finding cybersecurity bugs, the AI from ZAI, a Chinese company, is at least as good as Mythos 5. Although in terms of other things, ZAI cannot match Mythos. You know, there are a lot of different arguments about whether Mythos 5 should be released generally. I think the weight of evidence now is that it should. And the reason is that by denying Mythos 5, we are seeing companies turn to Chinese AI models, and that's not good for us. So,
right.
Yes, there are a lot of concerns about it, but I think that because our lead on AI is narrowing, we just got to go to the market with the best that's available.
Lee Carter, jump in here, because obviously this is a very complex, with the AI industry as a whole. And the Trump administration has, they're making some changes about how they're handling AI and whether they're going to regulate or not.
I think this is a really interesting challenge because a lot of people hear about AI in China, and what you start to become concerned is it's just an intellectual property issue, or that this is a innovation story, that we want American dominance and innovation. But this really isn't about chatbots. This is really about national security. When you look at what's happening here, this is really about the next operating system of the global power, because you can look at what AI can do with cyber attacks, with other kinds of things, and that could really impact our critical infrastructure, like banks, our electric grids, hospitals.
Sure.
You could go through all of it: telecom,
yeah.
pipeline, transportation. And if this is in the hands of China and not in our hands, or if they even leap ahead of us, we're really at risk in a much bigger issue. So this becomes a question not about innovation and regulation as much as it is national security. And Gordon, I'd love to hear your perspective on what this means for America, because again, this is a very different thing than just saying who has the best technology. This is who has technology that could be very dangerous in the wrong hands.
Well, and that's the reason for the federal government being able to convince Anthropic and other companies to delay the release of their models. The issue ultimately is the country that will win in the AI race is the one that gets others to use their AI. And so this is important for us to get our AI models into the general circulation so that countries can use American models, and eventually we can win that race. This is going to be very, very difficult for us. There's going to be a lot of reasons and a lot of concerns on the other side, but ultimately we've got to get other countries to adopt our models, and it's as simple as that.
And this goes back, I want to bring in Mike Leahill really quick, because Mike, you made the point in the commercial break with us that this goes back to getting the Chinese getting their hands on chips.
Yeah, well, look, Jensen Huang is best friends with the CEO of SMCI. Jensen Huang is CEO of NVIDIA. Unbelievable company at the forefront of this. You cannot develop AI models without the latest and greatest AI chips. NVIDIA is right there, but his ability to cozy up to the Chinese Communist Party should leave everyone unsettled. He talks about China so fondly. He's on the board of trustees for Xi Jinping's alma mater, and an executive at SMCI, his best friend's company, was recently indicted for selling NVIDIA GPUs to the Chinese Communist Party that were part of an export ban. This is for us to stay ahead, we need to stop the Chinese from getting the latest and greatest tools that were developed in America in China. They could try to develop their own tools, and I think Howard Lutnick was speaking a week ago that they've developed one of ASML's EUV lithography machines, which is what you need to design the chips. Mm-hmm. So this is really. This is a dicey situation, to say the least.
This is why, I got 10 seconds, Gordon. This is why this is so concerning, this new report from the Journal. Final thought.
Yes, and we should not be selling advanced chips to China because it helps them bridge a critical gap. Jensen Huang may want to sell this stuff, but, I think the federal government needs to look at NVIDIA because they had to know that their chips were being diverted to China through places such as Singapore.
Yeah.
And this seems to me a violation of federal law there.
Absolutely. Gordon Chang, it's always great to have you on the program. We'll be right back, everybody.